But first, we have to get into the fights that did happen over the weekend. We have a new Ilya Topuria defeats Alexander Volkanovski via TKO to become the new featherweight champion. My brother Eric, you were there in person. How did it feel, and what was the environment like in there?
It was electric. It was absolutely insane in there. And I've got to say, shout out to you, Georgians, because you guys travel very well. And they were very loud for Marab and Ilya there. They were pretty annoying, too. I'm not going to lie. We were walking out sad as hell after seeing Volk lose. They're just going, ole, 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 ole. I'm going to have nightmares about that shit. Anyway, my brain's kind of mush right now. I can't lie. These last 3 days have just been like one day for me. I'm tired. I'm sad. I'm broke. But I got a roof over my head. I got food on the table, so I cannot complain. Excited to be here. And with the fight, Volkanovski, man, he just didn't look like the same guy. You know the magic stat. Fighters 35 and over in the weight classes of 170 and under, or 170 to 135, I believe. 1-22, with that one being Tyron Woodley. Once again, it stayed true. There was a moment when Volk threw a body kick, and my friend and I, we both looked at each other and we were like, shit, that just looked slow, man. And I had a bad feeling that what happened was going to happen. Once the fight started, you could tell Ilya was a little faster out there. He had Volk on the back foot for a decent amount of it, and when he got him stuck against the cage, that was that. But you sniped it. You absolutely called this one, so how were you feeling? Were you going into it thinking it was a win-win since you had money on Topuria, but obviously we like Volk? Or how were you feeling?
I was kind of up on the night already. So I was kind of just like, whatever happens, happens. At that point, I kind of already had a lot to drink, so it was just like, I knew what was going on, but I didn't know that. Obviously I knew I had the bet in, but at the time I wasn't thinking about the bet. Yeah. I wasn't. I don't know. I didn't think of it as a win-win. It was just more so the same as all this other stuff that happens. It's just in shock. I'm not really thinking about the money at this point. It's just kind of just like shock, like, damn, this happened, whether if it's Volk or the other way around. Like we always say about this sport, like, did this really just happen? Like that shit really happened. Yeah. Just nuts. Just so lost for words. Topuria did what he said he was going to do. And it was just, it's crazy. Like when that happens, like he called a shot and fucking.
Yeah, he's special. He's special. You can't deny it. He's a generational talent. I think it's safe to say that now. And Volkanovski was calling for the rematch. I think everyone doesn't want him to take that immediately. He's obviously earned it, so it's kind of his right.
I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about how Kamaru got a rematch with Leon after the head kick. And I was trying to compare it. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people are going to compare it to when they say, like, the champion, if you're a long champion, you get another shot. The reason I think this is different with Volk is I think that Kamaru was winning that whole fight versus Leon. Yeah. So that was like a big difference. Like, Leon only won the 5th round. I think Kamaru won rounds 1 through 4.
Yeah.
And that was also Kamaru's first loss, like in a long time.
Not back to back.
The thing with Volk is we just seen him lose to Islam. Yes. Different division, yes, but that's all part of it. We just seen you get knocked out by Islam and you come back and get knocked out by Topuria. Does he deserve a title shot? I don't know. I don't think, like you kind of just said, I don't see how he would beat Topuria. Does it like you kind of just have to do it. But
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. Who do you like for Topuria next? What would it be?
That's what I was going to say. Max is booked with Gaethje now for 300. Yair and Ortega are fighting soon. If Yair wins that, it's kind of hard to give him a title shot after just getting one and winning one fight.
Yeah.
I was thinking one automatically.
I was thinking if Max wins, he gets it at 45. But Max could be a big, if he makes a big statement at Gaethje, he can get a shot at 55.
Bro, he's in the driver's seat if he wins that fight.
Yeah, so it's a big fight for Max, but I don't know if you can give Max a title shot at 45 because can he really be a champion knowing he lost to Volk 3 times? Like it's kind of a tough spot. I think we kind of finally got out of the Volk and Max rivalry. Not that it was bad. Not that Volk and Max weren't great champions or contenders in the 45 division. But now that we have a new guy, like I kind of just want to see the division move on. I would love to see Max if he wins at 55, probably get a title shot or a title eliminator at 55. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't know who else you'd give it to would fight Ilya. Yeah. I mean, I know who would fight Ilya at 45.
I know someone. I think I might be wearing his shirt.
That could be it.
Bro, I've been going back and forth on that because I think it's a bad precedent to set if the UFC lets Sugar go up for double champ status after only defending the belt once. But it would just be such a sweet fight. They might be the two best strikers in the UFC or two of the top 5 strikers in the UFC, most definitely. They both just beat the GOAT of their respective divisions. And they're both stars. Yeah. They both have very entertaining highlight reels, maybe the two best highlight reels in the UFC. So Topuria versus Sugar Sean O'Malley, that's a fight that has to happen someday. But I think Merab has done everything you could possibly do to get that next title shot. He's beaten 3 champions in his last 3 fights. He beat a featherweight champ, a bantamweight champ, and a flyweight and bantamweight champ. That is nuts. I know we'll get to Merab, but yeah, 45 is in a weird spot right now because Volk and Max just cleaned that shit out like completely.
Yeah. So like anybody now that like fights Topuria and like let's say they win it, it's not really validated because like Volk beat him, Max beat him, so it's like it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot. That's why I think in this scenario it's a perfect spot for Sugar Sean to go up. But then again, it does send a bad precedent. We've already had that multiple times in the past year. So yeah, it's tough spot. Middleweight division, Robert Whittaker defeats Paulo Costa via unanimous decision. I know how Robert's going to win. And I know if you're going to take Robert to win, take him to win by decision. Just a masterclass. Almost got put away round 1.
Oh my gosh. How did he eat that?
I know. I thought he was going to come back. I thought he was going to come back rattled too.
He did not one bit, bro. Bobby Knuckles is a dog. And he made me eat my words about him not having a chin and not being durable because he took about as big of a shot as you could possibly take. And yes, it was at the end of the round. He might have got saved by the bell, but that doesn't matter. He won the fight. And he had to go out there for 10 minutes after that against Paulo Costa. And he was honestly piecing him up.
Yeah. Just a technician, everything he does. Didn't lose a step. Maybe, we thought about the knockout to Dricus, but another weird spot here because he could for sure fight Dricus again for the belt. 1,000%. I wouldn't be mad at that fight. But the UFC for sure is holding off on Izzy because they definitely want Izzy versus Dricus or Izzy versus Strickland too. So tough spot because you risk Whittaker beating one of them, and then it's like now you don't have the Izzy fight. So it's tough. A lot of tough stuff going on here. A lot of stuff we got to sort through. But again, I don't know what else would be next for Whittaker. Could it be a Hamzat? But
that's what I was thinking.
What's the benefit of him fighting Hamzat?
Just taking his O. If you could take a hype train 0, I think that's a good thing. And if he beats Hamzat, that'll put him in the conversation for a title shot. He might not automatically get it, but he's definitely going to have a good argument for it. Dude, middleweight has totally been not rejuvenated, but it's just so interesting right now. You could do Robert Whittaker and Sean Strickland, and then Jared Cannonier just kind of lingering around, solid, hasn't lost in a minute, hasn't lost since Izzy, right?
Yeah.
Cannonier's there. I think he deserves a title eliminator.
Did Cannonier beat Strickland or Strickland beat Cannonier?
Cannonier won, but it was a very close fight. It was 50-50, honestly. Could have won either way, but officially, Cannonier won. So, yeah, this is interesting. And then Brendan Allen at number 7 on a big win streak right now. He's going to be up in that conversation soon. Hamzat's ranked 11. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think obviously you got to ask Izzy, but if Izzy can come back in the next 6 months to a year, I think you just wait it out with Dricus, or you do a rematch with Sean Strickland and Izzy fights one of those. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah, it's just crazy how they've almost all fought each other already.
Yeah.
Besides Hamzat and Brendan Allen, a lot of them have already fought each other.
Crazy,
Whitaker
bro, to
beat,
think that. Crazy to think that like right now, Volk, Kamaru, and Izzy aren't champions.
dude, that thing I sent you, the
Yeah.
longest reigning champion in the UFC is Leon Edwards in August of 2022. At first, I thought it was Islam, but Islam won a couple months after that. Dude, that feels like yesterday. When Leon
Yeah.
head kicked Usman, that is nuts. That's right around the time we started this show, I believe. I think it was a month or two before that in the summer. So
Yeah.
since we've started this show, there's nobody that has been a champ the whole time.
Yeah.
Crazy. Short shelf lives in this sport because the margins are so damn small. And I was thinking about a reason. I've said it on here before, but one of the reasons that guys above 35 years old just don't do well in title fights in those small divisions is because in order to get to the top of those divisions, you have to be really, really, really fast. And
Yeah.
everybody that's getting title shots is most likely really, really, really fast. And when you get
Yeah.
older, you're going to lose a tiny bit of that. And I
Yeah.
think, unfortunately,
Speaking of getting older and losing a step, Henry Cejudo loses to Merab Divashili. Just a masterclass by Merab. Definitely earned his next title shot, the winner of Cheeto and Suga. I mean, he like you said, he's deserved it. He's next up for sure. Beat one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, not much to say about Merab other than he's next up. He's ready.
yeah,
He's ready to go.
Henry looked really good in the first round, too.
Yeah.
We kind of expected that, though, because when they're both at full stamina, Henry's probably more skilled, more technical, definitely on the feet. He was catching Merab. But once people get tired and Merab doesn't, they are in trouble. And he is a terrifying guy to fight over 5 rounds. He was able to do that to Henry in 3. Imagine if he had 5, how bad Henry would have looked in that 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
So our guy Suga, he's going to have to snipe him. He's going to have to punish him on the way in because Merab is not going to stop coming. Pause.
Yeah, I think Merab is a way better threat to take down, or way better threat for a takedown than Aljo or than Henry is.
Because he might not get the first one. He might not get the first 5. He might not get the first 10, but he's just going to keep on trying until he either gets dropped or gets the takedown.
Yeah. Obviously, we have to take care of business at 299 first Sugar Sean, but that's definitely a scary matchup we're looking forward to.
Can't look ahead. I was just listening to Timbo Sugar Show right before this. They dropped an episode today, and Sean started to look ahead a little bit, and he caught himself. He said, I gotta focus on the task at hand. And a crazy thing about Merab, him and Aljo went 3 5-minute rounds in the back before the fight, just full-on sparring match. What the fuck? Like, this guy is unhuman. His cardio, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Ian Machado Gary defeats Jeff Neal split decision. Scary one there for Ian. Scary one. What do you like next for Ian?
He called out Colby Covington. I think that's great, honestly. I think that's a really good matchup for both of them. Or Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy would be sweet as well because Ian Gary kind of did what I expected him to do, what we both did for this one. Just kind of danced around Neal, stayed out of the way of the big shots. And yes, it was a boring fight. I get that. You could hate on Ian Gary for a lot of things, but I'm not going to hate on him for this one fight because look at Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis or Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero. Some of the most exciting fighters of all time have had fights that were very boring. And
you just got to win.
Yep. Ian Gary, I listened to his post-fight presser, and he made some valid points. He said, if you make a wrong move against Jeff Neal, you will be asleep. Because
I've never been against, like, I've always been against people that say, like, boring fight. Bro, motherfucker, when you're in a cage locked in, you do what it takes to win.
Yeah, Jeff Neal. Oh, man, that was close, though, bro. It was a hard one to score because there really just wasn't a whole lot going on. Was Joe Rogan dick riding Ian Gary on the commentary? Because we couldn't hear it, but I saw a lot of stuff saying that he was.
Let me ask you this. Obviously you were there in person, out of all the fighters, if you can remember, who had the biggest ovation coming out, you would say? Not after the fights, but coming out.
Volk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the crowd was honestly loudest during the Mackenzie Dern fight and the Roman Kopylov Hernandez fight because both of those fights were bangers and they were back to
Yeah.
back. They were just straight wars.
Yeah.
So that's when the crowd was the loudest, I would say, honestly, because after Volt got KO'd, like I was just sitting there in silence for 15 minutes. But I didn't get up until the usher came. Everyone was out of our section. I was just sitting there in shock, staring with a blank face, and the usher's like, "All right, you gotta go." I just walked out all sad. But yeah, Mackenzie Dern, whew, so hot.
Yeah.
But that fight was nuts. If Mackenzie Dern had slightly below average striking, she would be a problem because her grappling is elite. Elite. I don't know how she stayed in that fight, dude. Lemos was cracking her. A lot of people in the crowd were yelling, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight! Stop the fight!" When she was just like looking up, doing the bicycles, and she looked like she was about to cry. But
Yeah.
ref made the right call.
Yeah.
Kopylov and Hernandez, though,
Finally
bro.
get.
Oh, I want to talk about this one a little bit. Hernandez mixes it up insanely well. I was not putting enough respect on his name, but he's almost like Marab. His pressure is just insane, and he did not get tired. And once he gets on your back or once he gets you in a bad spot on the ground, good luck getting out because Kopylov's takedown defense was very good for most of the fight. But he threw one kick. When he was a little too close, Hernandez caught it, closed the distance, got the submission. Just one little mistake is all it took. That was a back and forth fight that whole time. Kopylov was it was just back and forth. I can't even say Kopylov was piecing him up. They were both landing. But I think both of those guys, it's not like they're young. And Hernandez is 30, Kopylov's 32, but I think we're going to see him around for a couple more years. They're both very good. That was a high-level fight.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good one. He messed with the card. I was 5-1, 5-1. He could have went 6-0. Messed with the card's fine.
Yeah, let's put your bets up before we move on. I'll throw them up. So if you were tuned into our social media, I had a historically bad night, but Jalen almost had a perfect night. So you carried us this weekend. I think if y'all are listening, you can fade me, tail Jalen, and your bank account will go up.
Yeah. Tafa being ruled out kind of took some juice out of the parlay, but we still got it. We'll take a dub. I wish I would have went Mackenzie Dern. I wish I would have went Amanda Lemos. It was in my notes. I just didn't like it, but hey, you know what? Sometimes the best bet is no bet. But yep, let's go, baby.
Good job, man. You're heating up.
Trying to. Speaking of heating up,